Time now for Almost Famous, featuring local music and independent musicians from the South Shore, Boston, and New England. On 95.9 WATD.
I am John Shea. We are brought to you each week by Tiny and Sons Glass. Now, first things first, if you're a local musician with original music you'd like to hear on the radio, get in contact with me. You can find all the information up on the Almost Famous page at 959watd.com. While you're at it, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Almost Famous Radio, and subscribe to our podcast, which you can find at almostfamousradio.com or by searching Almost Famous WATD on your favorite podcast app. So tonight we are trying something very different than what we usually do. We are not only welcoming back a special guest, but we are doing an album release show for the entire 2 hours tonight, and that special guest we're welcoming back is Lainey Dionne. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for making this work.
Thank you for having me. This is so cool.
Yeah, and I'm finally pronouncing your name correctly. It's a watermark for me.
Oh, yeah.
So you were here back in early June. So update us on not only who you are, but what's new in your world since then.
Yeah, so I'm Lainey Dionne. I'm an indie pop singer-songwriter from Rhode Island, and I have since then released my first 12-song album, and I'm very excited to show you guys about it tonight. It is called Self-Titled.
Before we get to the details, share with us where people can find you online.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, literally all the social media. Facebook and Instagram is at Lainey's Music. Everything else is at Lainey Dionne. And all of my songs are everywhere you can find music on.
Do you have a favorite social media platform?
I do like Instagram a lot, yes.
Very cool. So the new album, how did this happen?
Yeah, so I had been dumped a lot and had been doing the dumping a lot. So I decided to write the album's mostly a breakup album, but it's also a empowering album about finding myself again after some toxic relationships. And it's about some of the healthy relationships too.
What feels better, doing the dumping or getting dumped?
They're both pretty rough. I'd say probably doing the dumping is a little bit better.
Cool. Let's dive right into the album. We're going to be doing the entire album, I believe, in order tonight. So what are we launching into first?
Yes, so first up is Hey London.
Let's hear it, Lainey Dionne, and the album title is?
Self-Titled.
Cool. We're going to talk about that, too. Let's hear Hey London here on WATD2. Start the night with Almost Famous.
Hey London. Hey London. I'm so over it. Hey. Black cab into Trafalgar Square. To the pub, maybe you'll be there. I don't care if it's a foreign flight. No, I don't wanna be alone. Rain boots, wrong side of the dash. Terrified the car might crash. And gotta find me an Abbey Road before I catch a plane back home. Bittersweet goodbye. Hey London, my eyes are red. I'm proud I'm reminding over. I'm so over it. Hey! Phone booth beside Big Ben. Call you up and just pretend. I don't wanna be more than friends. Yeah, I just wanna be alone. If you wanna kiss the queen goodbye, then better hurry 'cause I leave tonight. Clock strikes and you're out of time. I hope you have a good, good life. Hey London, my eyes are red. I'm out of my mind and over my head. Hey London, losing my grip. Don't mind the gap, I'm so over it. There's no room for me anyway. So I say, hey London, I'm over it. I'm so over it. Hey! Now
London, Lainey, Dionne on 95.9 WATD. This is Almost Famous, where we introduce you to independent bands and musicians from across New England, brought to you each week by Tiny and Sons Glass. I am John Shea. Tonight, we're trying something very different. We are doing a full radio album release show, and we're being joined in studio by
Lainey, Dionne. Hello, hello.
Hello. So talk about Hey London.
So I dated a guy overseas in Europe, and it was really crazy. We met on a chat room on a game on an iPod Touch, and I flew over to meet him for the first time. Didn't get murdered. It was great. We dated for a year, and then I got accepted into a songwriting retreat in France where I met a British guy. So then I left the Dutch guy, started dating the British guy, lived with him for a month in England, and it just didn't turn out well. And, you know, whenever I tell the story, people think I'm probably really crazy, and I am. But yeah, here's the song.
That is cool. So how many frequent flyer miles did you rank up during that time?
None. Well, I wish I did. But yeah, flights were cheap at the time. It was a good time. It was a good story.
I haven't heard anybody mention the iPod Touch in a long time either. That's kind of a flashback to, 2007, 2008?
Oh, yeah. I met him on the iPod Touch game in 2010, 2010, yeah.
Cool. Talk about working on that song in the studio. How did that happen?
Yeah, so this was the first song that I had co-written under my artist development deal with Gabe Simon, who writes for Dua Lipa. He is amazing. And Nick Schwartz, who produced the entire album. He is my producer, go-to guy. He's amazing as well. So we all co-wrote it together in Nick's house, and then we wrote it and recorded the demo within 4 hours. And it was a hit from there.
So give us the information on where the album is available and any opportunities to buy the album coming up.
Yeah, so the album is available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Deezer, any of the streaming services that are out there. And you can purchase it right now or stream it right now.
Yes. Preferably go purchase it.
Yeah.
All the money goes to Lainey. Well, let's continue on now and hear what's next. What is the second track on the album?
Yeah, so the second track on the album is Last Flight, kind of keeping with the theme of travel. The song is another foreign fling.
Let's hear it, then we'll talk about it. We have to. Lainey Dionne on the tiny stage here on WATD on the self-titled album release show.
Hold back the night, I heard you say, 'cause we both know it's almost time to brace for heartbreak. Pay for the dawn and everything's cold. We leave it all, we leave it all. We only have now, not getting any younger, not getting any younger. Yeah. Why don't we stay just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer? Tell me, are we on the last flight? Tell me, are we on the last flight? Last flight out. I got to know, even if it's the last time. How are we gonna fly high? Is we all done? Crashing now and free fall. Play the highlights of us and turn up the sound. I got to know, is this the last flight? We have baggage, I could feel the weight of slowing down and dragging out and twisting our fate. Passengers with missing directions, different affections, brand new connections. Tell me, are we on the last flight? Tell me, are we on the last flight? Last flight out. I got to know, even if it's the last time. How are we gonna fly high? Is we all done? Crashing now and free fall. Replay the highlights of us.
Lainey Dionne, live tonight on the tiny stage, doing an album release show for her self-titled album that is called?
Self-titled.
Let's talk about that. Why did you choose to name it self-titled as opposed to just a self-titled album?
So usually when you say it's self-titled, that means it's your name, right? But this album is pretty much a breakup album. The whole album's about all my exes, and I didn't want to give that the power of my name. So it's kind of like a pseudonym in a way. And I felt more entitled to myself now that the album is out. I got all that bad energy out of me. We don't need it anymore. We don't need them. So self-titled.
I remember getting a text from you at one point after we met back in June, and you said, I've got a name for the album. It's going to be self-titled. I'm like, cool. Like, no, it's like literally going to be called self-titled.
Yeah.
That is cool. So the album is 12 songs. How long did it take you to compile all 12 songs for this album?
So I had the first 6 done in Nashville in 2020, or even before 2020. Yeah, in 2019. And then, I mean, the last 6 were kind of written by my most recent ex. So those took a little bit longer to come out. And I wasn't going to release it as a full album. I was going to release it as all singles originally. So I think it's kind of cool that it's kind of like a collection all at once coming at you. About my heartbreak.
So we mentioned that Hey London was the first song that you wrote under the artist development deal that you had. Are the songs on the album in the order that they were written?
No. They're all at different points, but the order I picked very specifically.
Because I can hear the theme of how they kind of flow together.
Yeah, so it's very specific order how it is. The next song, hold on one second.
Well, before you look that up, tell us about Last Flight, because you mentioned that was another fling song.
Okay, so let's talk about Last Flight. So going back to the Dutch guy before the British guy, we obviously dated for a year, and I flew back and forth. He flew back and forth here. And because our relationship, even though we dated for a year, we only met 6 times in that year, it started getting really rocky. And I thought, is this going to be the last flight I take to see him, or is this going to be the last flight he takes to see me? Because once we have that last flight, I mean, not only is the relationship's over, but we're never going to see each other ever again, which was kind of scary for me because that's very permanent. So Last Flight is written from that kind of space of being kind of scared if this is going to be the last flight or the last time I ever see that person.
Is it easy for you to put yourself into that headspace?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get very attached to my exes. So even like years after the relationship's over, I could definitely go back to those moments and be able to tap into that to write a song.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What is next on Self-Titled?
All right, so up next is Wake Up Call. And this song is one of my faves, so I'm very excited for you guys to listen to it.
Let's hear it, then we'll talk about it. We have Lainey Dionne on the tiny stage, 95.9 WATD.
Yeah, I'm sick of the lies. You do this every time. Award-winning actor had me fooled, it was fun. Should've listened to mom, read the signs on the wall. You never really cared about me at all. Now it's my birthday weekend, and you'd rather be without me drinking. For 4 years I believed that maybe you would change. This is my wake-up call, since you didn't call me. I thought this was love, I felt the fall. I left my heart out on the porch swing. The night when you said nothing at all. This is my wake-up call. Ring, ring, not going through. Been blocked since 2 in the afternoon. Look at you at it again. Not sure where we stand, but if you were a man, you would say it to my face instead of ghosting. You promised forever, but you changed like the weather. The ups and the downs, thinking he'll come around. My eyes are open and my heart is closing the chapter now. This is my wake-up call, since you didn't call me. I thought this was love, I felt the fall. I left my heart out on the porch swing. The night when you said nothing at all. This is my wake-up call. out, I'm taking our favorite couch. Let you grow up in your Mickey Mouse playhouse. Consider yourself lucky. I never took a back to your flat screen. Consider yourself lucky. I let you off easy. This is my wake-up call. Since you didn't call me, I thought this was love. I felt the fall. I let my heart out on the porch swing. The night when you said nothing at all. Thanks for the wake-up call. Since you didn't call me, I thought this was love. I felt the fall. I let my heart out on the porch swing. The night when you said nothing at all. It's time to wake up.
Wake Up Call, Lainey Dionne. She is joining us tonight on the tiny stage. Live, but not necessarily live. No guitar tonight. We are playing tracks off of the album, which is called?
Self-titled.
And it's available where?
On Spotify, iTunes, and all other streaming service.
Fantastic. And share with us again your website and all the social media pages.
Yeah, so LaineyDionne.com. You can find everything, all my socials, all my music, and you can find Facebook and Instagram are at Lainey's Music. Everything else is at Lainey Dionne.
I saw you dancing in the other Wake Up Call. I'm guessing that has a special meaning to you.
Oh, yeah. So Wake Up Call is one of the more recently written songs off the album about my recent ex. We dated for 4 years. We lived together. And he ghosted me for a couple of days and then sent me a text that we were breaking up on my birthday. So,
that does not sound fun.
No, it was not. But this angsty, wonderful song was written about it. So
Has he heard it?
He has. Yes. Yes.
And his reaction?
Well, his name's in the song secretly in there, so he was a little, about it. But it was fine. He's cool with it.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
How long did that one take you to write?
Oh, that was like one of the quickest songs on the album, to be honest. I think Hannah Schaefer and I wrote that song together. We wrote it within I think an hour. It was fast.
Speaking of Hannah, you've done a lot of co-writing. You mentioned that you worked with, Hey London was written with a writer who's worked with Dua Lipa. Talk about your relationship with co-writing.
Yeah, so all of the songs on the album are co-written except for Cumbria. I had written that years previous and decided to make it into a pop song. But I love co-writing. I mean, I think that there's a kind of connection that you get with somebody in the room that you don't get when you're writing by yourself. I mean, to be able to bounce something off of somebody and get all excited and be like, yeah, that's a different kind of relationship with music than you have when you are just writing by yourself.
So elaborate more on that. How would you describe the biggest difference between doing a co-writing session with 1, 2, maybe even 3 other people or a room full of people versus just coming up with the entire song, lyrics, music, everything on your own?
Yeah, I feel like when I write something on my own, it's usually a sad song because I'm very in my feels. But writing something on my own, I kind of just get it all out in one go. Like it's not about writing the best song. It's not about writing a hit for me. It's just about getting the emotion out of me. Whereas when I write with somebody else, there's a goal in mind. Like we want to write a good song. So we're really trying, we're reworking, revising, revisiting. And I don't do that by myself.
What advice would you give to an aspiring songwriter who may be struggling to come up with music and lyrics on their own, but could maybe benefit from working with somebody else?
Yeah. Working with somebody else is a great way of finding out more about yourself as a songwriter. Just make sure that you're, letting other people speak and get their ideas in. But I think it's a great way to find out what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and trying to find that other half of you that's missing from your songs.
When did you really become comfortable in the world of co-writing?
So I really became comfortable co-writing, I think, halfway through the album, to be honest. The first couple co-writes I did, I was very nervous. They were big writers. I didn't really know what the relationship was going to be like or how we were going to flow. And halfway through the album, I started writing with Hannah a lot. And that's when I was like, oh, I got this. Like, I know how to do this. I can hold my weight, So I'd say halfway through the albums when I really got comfortable with co-writing.
We also mentioned that all of the songs on the album are arranged in a way that kind of makes it a concept. Mm-hmm. They tell a story. If you listen to the album, not at random play, but if you listen to the album from beginning to end, The song we just heard, Wake Up Call, the ending is set up to flow perfectly into the song that we have coming up after the break. Can you give us a quick tease?
Yes. So wake up call. And so it's time to wake up because you need a wake up call from that awful relationship. And we're going into a lovely relationship where you get that first kind of crush feeling where you're running to the phone, the landline. Remember landlines? You're running to the you're running to the landline to catch your crush calling you before your parents pick it up.
Let's take a break and then we'll come back and we'll learn what song she's talking about. Lainey Dionne talking about her album
Self-Titled.
Here on Almost Famous 95.9 WATD.
Almost Famous with John Shea on 95.9 WATD.
Welcome back to Almost Famous 95.9 WATD. Introducing you to independent bands and musicians from across New England, brought to you by Tiny & Sons Glass. My name is John Shea, and we are trying something very different tonight. I've been doing this show for over 10 years. I've never done this before. We are doing a radio album release show, and the guest we have on the tiny stage tonight is
Lainey Dionne.
Welcome back.
Hi.
You were here in June, and when you were here in June, the album was kind of a distant project. It wasn't quite there yet. So
yeah.
What's happened since June?
Yes, I've been playing a lot of shows, doing a lot of radio interviews, trying to get out there as much as I can. But yeah, I mean, the pandemic really threw a wrench in things. So we were just still in the motions of the album then.
Speaking of the pandemic, it did throw a lot of things into the mix. I'll say the word things as opposed to other words that come to mind. But you've had a lot of obstacles in your way, along your way. What happened?
Yeah, so I'm not the healthiest person, so I had to really avoid everything during the pandemic. So I was writing a lot, doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff for the album, and doing as much as I can from home, really, and being able to perform outside really helped me.
Speaking of performing outside, it's something you're still doing. There's a show coming up this week. Yeah,
so Friday I'm playing at Country Kitchen in Smithfield, Rhode Island.
And where is the best place to go to stay up to date on future shows other than Friday?
You could go on Facebook at Lainey's Music. All of my events are up there, or on LaineyDionne.com. You can see all my shows.
Fantastic. So we teased a song before the break that coming out of Wake Up Call that kind of shares a similar opening that Wake Up Call closes with. Talk about what we're going to be hearing next.
Yeah, so Wake Up Call is about a really bad call. And Old Enough, this next song, is about having that giddy first crush kind of feeling that you get when we had landlines back in the day, trying to rush to it to pick it up before your parents got to it. So Old Enough is about just this nostalgic first crush feeling that you could still get today. Nobody's too young for love.
When you played the song on the show back in June acoustically, this I think was my favorite song of the night. So
yeah,
really excited to hear the fully produced version. Let's do that right now. It's Almost Famous 95.9 WATD with
Lainey Dionne.
First kiss feeling, it kinda tastes like that. It puts me on the ceiling. You're taking me right back to the nights. Felt like falling. I had to catch your calls when you were calling the house, so nobody finds out. Take care of your heart and keep your options open. Don't let it get stolen or broken. Not gonna quit is worth the risk. You're a mistake worth making. I found you out, I'm not giving up. They tell us we're not old enough. See where this goes, time takes its toll. Don't know the road until we drive it. They tell us we're not old enough, but nobody is too young for love. Nobody is too young for love. Listening to Radiohead on the stereo to drown out what they said. Yeah, we're not traditional. They say millennials are all broke on dope. Don't know what we don't know. All we wanna do is love. We don't need to rush. It's more than just a crush. Not gonna quit is worth the risk. You're a mistake worth making. I found you out, I'm not giving up. They tell us we're we'd still feel the same as we do right here. Not gonna quit is worth the risk. You're a mistake worth making. I found you out, I'm not giving up. They tell us we're not old enough. See where this goes, time takes us toll. Don't know the road until we drive it. They tell us we're not old enough, but nobody is too young for love. Nobody is too young for love. Nobody is too young for love.
Lainey, Dionne on WATD tonight, Almost Famous, with me, John Shea. That's a track called Old Enough off of her self-titled album that is literally called
Self-titled.
And that song starts off with, as you mentioned, getting a call from your crush on the landline phone. How often did your parents beat you to the call before you were able to pick up?
Oh, I was super fast, so not often.
Any times it did happen?
I can't recall. I don't think so.
You're that quick.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
lightning fast.
Oh, yeah.
So that song, another co-write song, talk us through the history of how that one happened.
So that one was written with Jordy Searcy. He's an amazing singer-songwriter, and Nick Schwartz, who produced my whole album. And I mean, we were just talking about the nostalgic feeling that you get with the first crush, and the song was born pretty fast. That song was written and recorded in 4 hours, just like the rest of them.
The songs that take the least amount of time to write and record compared to the songs that take a long time, how do you think they hold up against each other?
So most of the songs on the album were 4 hours, and there was a couple of them that were less, like 2. But I would say, I mean, they're all, you can't really compare. They all have like a different meaning. They all have a different way of coming out of me or coming out of the co-writers in the room that you can't compare it.
So talk about how these songs literally begin. Do they start off with melody? Do they start off with lyrics? What instrument do they start off on?
Yeah, so usually Nick has like a track in place of like what kind of tonally this is going to sound like. And then we all kind of like hum over that and come up with the hook. And then take it from there. I mean, it initially starts with whatever title I want. So I pick the titles always.
So do you ever create the melody in advance, or is that all done in the studio?
Not with this album. The only one that I had written before it had a title was the one that I wrote by myself, Cumbria.
Very cool. And we should mention, too, that while this is your debut full-length album, there is an EP that's available on streaming services as well.
Yeah, my first little baby. It's a Can't Refuse EP. That was when I played folk music back in the day.
Do you miss that style of music?
I do and I don't. I feel like it's a part of me, and I think you can hear lyrically and melodically in my music now that I'm still folk influenced. But I mean, it'll always be my little baby.
I love that. So all of these albums have a theme, and that also applies to the song that we're listening to next. How does Old Enough flow into the next song?
Yeah, so Old Enough is about, feeling like you're on the ceiling, feeling so flirty and fun. And the next song, Damned, starts with some lyrics that say, his ego is through the ceiling. So the opposite side of that. So Damned is just about not giving any more attention to a guy that doesn't deserve it.
Which ex is this one about?
Oh, you know.
Okay. I'll just take a shot in the dark. The song title is?
Damned.
Lainey, Dionne, WATD on the tiny stage.
I don't usually get annoyed easily, but I've been sick, had mixed feelings. It's always been about you, never been about me. Your ego breaks to the ceiling. Every time I think we're going somewhere, you turn around and say it's going nowhere. It's like talking to a brick wall, waiting for you to say what I want to hear, thinking it's my fault, but I can't control that I don't wanna look you up on the internet. I don't wanna know what you've been doing. Say you're busy changing, still procrastinating. I'm communicating, trying to hold on. It's like talking to a brick wall, waiting for you to say what I wanna hear, thinking it's my fault. But I can't control that. You don't really care. If you're done with me, then I will let you leave. I'll never understand what happened, but now I don't give a damn. I'm not gonna make you stay if you don't appreciate me. I'm not gonna fight for you if you won't fight for me. I'm not gonna let you back in just so you could leave again. No, I'm not gonna, I don't wanna. I'm too fed up to give a damn. I'm not gonna make you stay if you don't appreciate me. I'm not gonna fight for you if you won't fight for me. I'm not gonna let you back in just so you could leave again. No, I'm not gonna, I don't wanna. I'm too fed up to give a damn. It's like talking to a brick wall, waiting for you to say what I wanna hear, thinking it's my fault. But I can't control that. You don't really care. If you're done with me, then I will let you leave. I'll never understand what happened, but now I don't give a damn. 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 No, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
Damned, Lainey Dionne on the tiny stage tonight, not playing an instrument, but talking about her new album, which is called?
Self-titled.
And remind us again why it's called Self-Titled, because I love this story.
Yeah, so self-titled usually means that it's your name, so it would technically be Lainey Dionne, but I didn't want to give my exes my name. So the story of the album being about my exes goes to self-titled, because now I'm entitled to myself again, and I get my name back to me.
Do I dare ask what the follow-up is going to be called?
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I like that. So the song we just heard, Damned, give us more details on how this one happened.
Yeah, so this was actually the last one written on the album. So this one was the most recent one that I had to write. And it was with Alexa Capelli. She's also an amazing songwriter. It was just me and her on this one. And it's, you know, don't waste your time on somebody that obviously doesn't want to waste their time on you. So this song was definitely a learning curve for me.
What I love about hearing your voice and hearing these songs, and I'm not a professional musician, so I might not be describing this in the proper way, but the way you accent words is very unique.
Okay.
Is that something that's intentional?
Is it a Rhode Island thing?
I don't know. It's just like the way that your rhythm is and the way you place your words within the song is unlike anything I've heard.
I mean, I feel like it's emotional. Like the first part of the song, I don't usually get annoyed easily. Like I could just sing it like that. But if you add a little vocal fry, you get, I don't usually get annoyed easily. You're singing it kind of like you're mad.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. That's what I mean. Like I really feel like your emotions in this album. It's like a diary on CD.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that.
So that is Lainey Dionne. Remind us again of all of your websites, social media pages, Spotify links, Bandcamp, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so everything can be found on LaineyDionne.com. That includes my music and my socials. But if you want to go straight for the socials, Facebook and Instagram are at Lainey's Music. Everything else is Lainey Dionne.
And we have two family members listening at home tonight that are probably getting ready for bed. Who do we have back in Smithfield?
Are we talking about my dogs or
yes.
my parents?
Okay. Either one.
Well, my dog's Russell and Rusty probably, and my mom and dad, hey.
Cool. Are they all listening tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. So we are nearing the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Like I said, I've never done this before, so this is new to both of us, doing an album release show on the radio. So what are we going to be listening to next?
Yeah, so up next is Kick It in the Shadows, and kind of following with Damned being like, I'm done with this, I know who I am. Kick It in the Shadows is very, I know who I am, I'm not afraid to be myself, and I'm cool with the darker sides of things. We're going to kick it in the shadows tonight.
I like it. We'll talk more about the writing after we hear it. 95.9 WATD, Lainey, Dionne, joining us in studio tonight.
Just a couple of misfits, trying to piece it all up in our heads. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just a couple of monsters, too big to hide under our beds. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We've never been afraid of the lonely, thrive in a place where nobody sees. When nobody sees, we cling to the dark 'cause it feels right, hanging in the shade of the moonlight, of the moonlight. We kick it in the shadows. 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 We kick it in the wild-eyed and searching for what would feed our appetites. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Those clicks don't click with me when my ripped jeans not Gucci. You think you know it all, but you'd be wrong. 'Cause we're not young, dumb wannabes. Wear our hearts on thrift store sleeves. We're right as hell where we belong. We kick it in the shadows. 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 We kick it in the come alive at midnight, getting too high to be feeling shy, dancing circles round street lights, coming undone, got cold air in our lungs, 'cause we don't run from hope we've become, can scare us in the dark. We kick it in the shadows. We kick it in the shadows. Nobody knows where we are. We kick it in the shadows. We kick it in. We don't run from hope we've become, can scare us in the dark. We kick it in the shadows. We kick it in the shadows.
Kick It in the Shadows. Lainey, Dionne off of her album.
Self-titled.
And talk about the writing process of that song. How did that one happen?
Yeah, so this is another one me and Hannah wrote together. Hannah Schaefer, she's amazing. But it's more of, so when I was in high school, I dressed a little gothy, a little emo. My hair was bright blue. I wore all black and knee-high Converses. And you would think that I would get made fun of for that, but I felt very comfortable in my own skin with that. It gave me a sense of, I don't know, it was just empowering for me to look like that for some reason. And all my friends and I, we kicked it in the shadows. We dressed in all black and we were ourselves and we liked it.
Do pictures of that era of Lainey exist?
Oh my God. When I did my release party, my friends were all like, oh, we're going to post them all over the place. Because I don't obviously dress like that anymore. But yeah, they're on Facebook. You can go find them.
No, we should mention, too, that I think you are the most stylish musician I've met in a long time.
Aw, thanks. My hair's pink right now. I know you guys can't see, but it's there.
Cool. How do you discover your fashions, if that makes sense?
So, like, I thrift. Wait, you said fashions, right?
Yes.
Okay. I thrift a lot. So Plato's Closet is like where I live right now. But I feel like my style is very different. I like a lot of punk rocky kind of things, but I also like a lot of floral preppy kind of things. So you mix them all together, you get a little bit of Lainey.
I like it. Very cool. And it was also a very strange time to release new music. How did you decide on how exactly you wanted to put this together?
So obviously the pandemic threw a wrench in things. Otherwise, this would have been probably released last year. But I mean, I feel like everything comes together for a reason. I mean, I needed the other two songs, Wake Up Call and Damned, to be written about my most recent ex. And that wouldn't have happened unless it was released right now. But it was kind of like just a thrown together kind of thing. You guys are really getting a raw sense of who I am. Like we're just going for it.
So I think I mentioned this earlier, but I want you to talk about it again, if you would. But so how long from when the first song was written until the final song was written until the actual release happened? Take us through that timeline.
Yeah. So Hey London was written in 2019, and Cumbria, one of the songs later on the album that we're going to discuss, was written in 2016, 2017 maybe. And the last song was written maybe 2 or 3 months before the album came out. So it's all very much as I'm experiencing things in life, they just are born.
How many songs did you have prepared for the album originally?
Honestly, it was just completely thrown together. Like I said, I didn't even think I was going to release an album. I thought they were all going to be singles. So it just came together as a collection just magically. It wasn't supposed to happen.
So the album just came out. Have you already started working on
a second
new projects?
one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a second one already. We have a couple.
With similar themes?
Yeah, the first two songs I think that are going to be singles off the second one are called Vampire and Video Game. So
okay,
look forward to those.
Yes, I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
We'll have to have you back for those.
Oh, yeah.
So before we wrap up this hour and continue on with the radio album release show, remind us again of your website, social media, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so everything can be found on LaineyDionne.com, or if you want to go straight to Facebook or Instagram, those are at Lainey's Music. Everything else is at Lainey Dionne.
Fantastic. We will be back with more of Lainey Dionne on the tiny stage right after this on 95.9 WATD.
WATD FM Marshfield, WBMS Brockton. This is the South Shores radio station, 95.9 FM WATD. Streaming online at 959watd.com. And with your smart speaker, just by saying play WATD.
Time now for Almost Famous, featuring local music and independent musicians from the South Shore, Boston, and New England. On 95.9 WATD.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Almost Famous 95.9 WATD, introducing you to independent bands and musicians from across New England. Brought to you by Tiny & Sons Glass. My name is John Shea. Now, if you're a local musician with original music you'd like to hear on the radio, get in contact with me. Find all the information on the Almost Famous page at 959watd.com. Follow us tonight on Facebook and Instagram at Almost Famous Radio, and subscribe to our podcast, which you can find at almostfamousradio.com or by searching Almost Famous WATD on your favorite podcast app. So tonight we are trying something completely new, something we've never done before, and that is a radio album release show. And our guest on the tiny stage is
Lainey Dionne.
Welcome back.
Hey, hey.
You were last here in June. We normally don't bring guests back this soon, but you just released a brand new album. So talk about what it is and where it's available.
Yeah, so I just released my album called Self-Titled. It is available on Spotify, iTunes, every other streaming service that's out there, and it's my little baby. I'm so excited to show you guys.
And you are in a unique position where having a traditional album release show isn't really possible.
Yeah, the pandemic is not doing good stuff there. But I'm very excited to be doing this with you. This is fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad that you could make this work.
Yeah.
So for those who might not be familiar with you and missed the first hour tonight, give an introduction and let us know who exactly Lainey Dionne is.
Yes. So, hey, I'm Lainey Dionne. I am an indie pop singer-songwriter from Rhode Island, and I'm very excited about my new album. I can't wait for you guys to hear the second half of it.
That's great. So for those who might not know where Smithfield is, give us some details.
Yeah, so Smithfield is a small town in the smallest state, representing. But yeah, there's not a huge music scene there, but it's beautiful. You guys should come check it out. I play every single week at Country Kitchen there.
How did coming from a non-music community launch you into the world of music?
Yeah, so my dad was a musician, and growing up, he constantly played 70s licks in the basement. So I kind of got the, little guitar bug from there.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So other than your dad, do you have a musical family?
Yeah, my sister can sing. My mom likes to think that she could sing.
We won't tell her that.
Yeah. My whole extended family can sing as well. They do 4-part harmonies all the time. It's a tad annoying, but
Let's talk about influences for a little bit. Who did you grow up listening to? Who are you listening to now?
Yeah, so I grew up listening to Radiohead a lot because my sister, and Coldplay. I really loved Coldplay, and I still do today. But right now I listen to a lot of female indie artists that you probably haven't heard of. Gabrielle Aplin's one of my main influences. But yeah.
And the album that is out, it's called Self-Titled. We are going through the album track by track in order. So we went through 1 through 6 in the first hour. 7 through 12 will be in this hour. So what are we listening to next?
Yeah, so up next is Skin. Get ready to get in your feels.
And by the way, thank you so much for creating a radio edit of this song. Because
yes, we're doing the radio edit.
I'd like to have my job next week, so I appreciate that. Lainey Dionne on WATD. It's called Skin, off the album Self-Titled.
Wake up beside you in the morning, paint a smile on my face, tell you everything you wanna hear, if that's what'll make you stay. I hide the dirt under my breath, burying the heavy load. I dress myself in armor, so no one will ever know. I'm a stranger inside my skin.
Lainey Dionne joining us tonight here on WATD. It's Almost Famous, introducing you to independent bands and musicians from across New England. This is something I've never done before, radio album release show, and it's a great album.
Thank you so much.
That is the voice of Lainey Dionne, and talk about Skin. Very emotional.
Yeah, sorry to make you guys cry. Skin was written about being in a toxic relationship and not even feeling like yourself anymore. Like you're just a complete stranger. You don't know why you're in this. You don't know why you're doing this. You don't know really what love is at this point. You just are stuck. And luckily I got unstuck and I'm very happy now. But yeah, Skin's just that moment in time when you just don't even know who you are.
Was that a difficult song for you to share publicly?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say probably Wake Up Call is more difficult because it's so specific. But Skin gets harder and harder to talk to because interviewers ask very specific questions about depression and stuff. So it's in there, it's in the feels a little bit, but I think it's a good thing to share.
Do you feel comfortable talking about that part of your life?
Yeah, I'd say I do now. I didn't at first because I was like, I'm not perfect. I'm a human being, but I'm a human being, so it's cool to talk about emotions.
I think that's the beauty of music is that I just had this conversation with somebody recently where they were saying that the songs that they have, nobody wants to hear because they're about deep parts of their life. And I was trying to explain to her that those are the kind of songs that you need to share because somebody else is going through exactly what you're going through and they think they're the only one.
Yeah.
And you can change their life by just suggesting that you also feel that way.
Yeah, definitely. I've had people message me saying that Skin has saved their lives and that Skin they can relate to the most. And that's how most people have found me because I think it's got over 50,000 plays right now on Spotify. But yeah, Skin, I love the messages I get.
I'm glad you mentioned that because this is a digital world, and in 2021, albums really don't exist that much. So the fact that you're releasing an album, not just an album, but an album that has a thematic flow to all of the songs. As an artist that's coming up in the digital world, how important are spins on Spotify to you?
Oh, very important. I mean, I love seeing the numbers. I mean, I wouldn't say very important because I feel good about just releasing my music anyways. It's just nice to be able to have my music out there and to be able to touch people and to be able to hear about how my music has impacted somebody. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's cool waking up in the morning and looking at those numbers and seeing them climb.
Now, I want to talk about this in more detail, but you were a business major at Berklee College of Music. How important are spins to the business side of music? Yeah,
I mean, so obviously Spotify doesn't pay their artists very well, so you don't make a ton off of that. But, labels do look at the plays that you get, and venues even look at the plays that you get to see, okay, well, is this person going to bring in heads, or is anybody even listening to them? So it is very important.
That's great.
Yeah.
How has that changed from your first EP that came out several years back?
Yeah, so I had like a single that came off the EP, The Next Move, and I think that's like at 20,000 plays. But I mean, that EP was so little. It's just a little guy, so that was really cool just to be able to get some plays on one song. But this new album, I think, is going to really come out swinging.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What are we going to listen to next?
Yeah, so up next, we got taking you from the depressing side of things, bringing you into, okay, now that we've gotten out of this toxic relationship, we are single. We are single and we're ready to mingle. And sometimes guys, ladies, if you guys are listening, you know that guys will send you some messages and they will be relentless about trying to get your attention. And sometimes they get really mean. If you're like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not interested, they'll be like, oh, well, you're not even that pretty. And that sucks. So to guys out there, don't do that. And this song's for you. It's called Cool Story Bro.
I like it. Let's hear it. Lainey Dionne, 95.9 WATD. I'll see if I can take some hits.
He DM'd another day, another time. Maybe ideally in a different life. You'd say yes and I'd be with you. He said, I won't give up, I won't stop trying. Think you need a guy like me in your life. I could treat you better than you ever knew. That That's why guys text me all the time, wondering why I don't reply. Never learn, think you've earned a shiny prize. Screw your pride, I'm polite, you seem nice. Sorry, but you're not my type. You insist I need to give you a chance. Get pissed when I don't want a romance. Tell me you're not even pretty anyway. Before I block you, I say, cool story, bro. Boys always think that they're telling me something new. Truth is, I've heard it from some other guy just like you. Think I know better than to give in to your ego, but you won't leave me alone. So I say, cool story, bro. Cool story, bro. He sent 11 hays in a row. You think you get your hint instead of free throws. Pick me energy doesn't win the game. No, I don't wanna rate your profile picture. Imagine the guy talking to your sister relentlessly like you're talking to me. You know, she'd say, cool story, bro. Boys always think that they're telling me something new. Truth is, I've heard it from some other guy just like you. Think I know better than to give in to your ego, but you won't leave me alone. So I say, cool story, bro. So I say, cool story, bro. To all the Brads or Chads or anyone just like that, have a little self-control. I'm sick and tired of the story getting old. Where do you get audacity to flirt and then come at me? You think you're being bold, but it's just another cool story, bro. Boys always think that they're telling me something new. Truth is, I've heard it from some other guy just like you. Think I know better than to give in to your ego, but you won't leave me alone. So I say, cool story, bro. No, cool story, bro. Cool story, bro.
Maybe my favorite song title on the album. How did that one, specifically the song title, how did that one happen?
Yeah. So, I mean, I got messaged on Facebook 800 times by this one guy that just like would not give up. And then when I was like, hey, you know, I'm sorry, I'm only interested in being friends. He was like, oh, well, you're not even pretty. And then he blocked me immediately. And I was like, all right, cool story, whatever, you know? And I thought that would be a cool concept to write about. So me and my friend Lexi, we wrote this song, Cool Story, Bro. And we just bonded over our experience of poopy conversations with dudes.
That could be the next album title. Yeah. Lainey Dionne joining us tonight here on WATD. I want to push the social media as much as possible, so remind us again of where you can be found.
Yes, please follow me. You can find all my socials on LaineyDionne.com, Facebook and Instagram at Lainey's Music, everything else at Lainey Dionne.
Awesome. Just follow her, don't message her.
Yeah. Well, you can message me. Just don't, be like that.
Message. Exactly. Do you miss not writing the music for your songs?
I mean, honestly, it's a different approach already having a track laid out and being able to write over that. I think with pop music, it's much easier to hear how the song's going to sound when you already have that beat there, as opposed to, playing on your guitar. But I mean, I like it.
Speaking of the guitar, do you have a favorite chord?
Do I have a favorite chord? I'd say C add 9.
That's unique. Okay. That's cool. Why that?
I don't know. I like it. I might be even wrong. That might not even be my favorite chord. I'm just throwing it out there.
First one that comes to mind. Yeah. You went to Berklee College of Music. You had an interesting experience at Berklee College of Music. Talk about your time there.
Yeah, so I couldn't really afford Berklee. So I ended up going for 2 years and getting my bachelor's degree. I went fall, spring, summer at 22 credits a semester. It was crazy. They almost allowed me not to do it. But, I ended up getting my music business degree with management and minor in audio production and engineering, and I'm very proud of it.
Why did you choose to pursue business, music business?
Yeah, so I wanted to have the business side of things and the audio engineering side of things because I really wanted to go into A&R. I just thought that would be a really fun career, but it ended up really helping me as a DIY pop star. I wouldn't call myself that, but like as a DIY, artist, it really helps to have those backgrounds.
So elaborate more on that. How did that help with this album specifically?
Yeah, I mean, so being able to know what to tell Nick Schwartz produced the whole album, being able to be like, hey, I don't like this. You need to take the EQ out here. Or like all the different things that you could tell a producer, I was able to, articulate to him. But also on the business side of things, I mean, you need to know how to copyright your songs. You need to know how to register them with a PRO. You need to know all that stuff too. So
that's crazy. Now, the album was partially made during the pandemic. How did you record through the quarantine?
Yeah, so this was crazy. So Nick lives in Nashville, and I was able to do True Music Studios in Smithfield, Rhode Island. We Skyped him in, and he would just tell the engineer in the room, who was Anders at the time, what to do. And that's how we did it. I mean, Anders recorded it, sent it back to Nick. Nick produced it, sent it back to me. I'd give notes, send it back to him. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So how much of the album was recorded like that?
6. So 6. Oh, actually 8. 8 of the songs were recorded like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that differ from actually being there in person?
I mean, I think being in there in person, I mean, you take the middleman out of it. I could just talk to Nick directly. And obviously, FaceTime doesn't crap out on you every 2 seconds when you're in person. But I mean, I liked it. Either way, it was a fun time in the studio. I think with this album, I've gotten more emotional than I've ever gotten while recording. And I mean, that was only possible because we could do it the way that we did it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What are we going to listen to next?
Yeah, so next up, we just did Cool Story Bro. So right after that is Cumbria. So Cumbria, I never actually say that in the song, but it's another breakup song. And Cumbria is actually a place in England where I was living. So bringing it right back to the initial roots of Hey London, we got Cumbria coming up next.
Yeah, let's head across the pond and then we'll talk about how it happened.
Yeah.
Lainey, Dionne in studio tonight on Almost Famous 95.9 WATD.
We knew we only had a day to figure this out. All of our doubt, and we threw it away. We knew I couldn't stay in this foreign town to watch this play out when words lose their weight. But you say it's for the best, but you say it's for the best, and you say it's for the best, but I don't feel it. I don't feel it. We knew there would come a break. Our faults are like lines, they cling and divide, but eventually fade. So I guess that I'll be on my way. This wasn't the plan or how it's meant to end. Can we try this again? But you say it's for the best, but you say it's for the best, and you say it's for the best, but I don't feel it. No, I don't feel it. Still you say it's for the best, and you don't need this, so I'll have to leave it.
That is Cumbria. That's Lainey Dionne. That's off of her brand new album, which is literally called
Self-titled.
Is that the oldest song on the album?
Yeah, so that one was written in 2017, immediately after landing from the plane in the United States.
Walk us through what was going through your head at that moment.
Yeah, so he dropped me off at the airport in England, and as I was walking into the airport, he stayed out in the car, and I hugged him, and I remember him saying, "It's for the best that you're going home, because it's just for the best." He didn't exactly break up with me. He just said, "It's for the best," and I caught the hint, and I wrote it as soon as I landed.
Was that a difficult song for you to share live?
Nah. It's so far long ago, and I have zero emotions about that relationship now, so that's easy peasy,
When it was
lemon
still fresh,
squeezy.
was it difficult to share?
Yeah, so when it was fresh, I remember I had to perform it, and I performed it for some people that he knew, and I remember messaging him, telling him, "Hey, I'm going to title the song Cumbria, so everybody knows it's about you, sucker." But yeah, it was fine.
Talk about how that song happened in the studio, because when I listened to the album, that song, in my opinion, has a different vibe to it than the other songs on the album.
Yeah, so that song was written on guitar. Obviously, it was written as a folk song. So when I gave it to Nick, I was like, I want it to still have some of the folk elements that it has, and I want it to really represent what initially had come out of me, but also have that flair of this new sound that I'm coming into. So you could definitely hear the folk references in that song.
When you were making the album, is there a favorite moment that comes to mind?
I really liked singing Sentimental, which is coming up next. We'll talk about that. We'll get into it.
How about some obstacles that got in your way during the making of the album, and how did you get around them?
I mean, you mean the pandemic?
That other than the obvious, was there anything else that kind of blocked your way and you were able to make your way around it and make the album happen?
No, nothing really. I mean, other than the pandemic, everything went pretty smoothly, thank God, because that was a big bump in the road right there. But everything went all right.
Do you have plans once you're fully vaccinated, once everything starts to happen again? Do you have plans? Would you like to do a traditional album release show with
I'd love to do that.
live audience?
Yeah, I think once the physical copies are out, I think I might do, because I'll be fully vaccinated next week, so we'll see.
That's good.
Yeah, I know. So once we get the physicals, maybe I'll have a small get together. We'll see what happens down the road.
So what's the very first thing you are going to do once you're officially vaccinated? And don't say just place the crazy thing you're going to do.
Crazy thing. I mean, I'd love to travel the world again, but I don't think that's going to be safe for a while with the D variant. But I'm going to be going to Target, because I haven't hit up Target in a while, or TJ Maxx. We're going to hit those stores up.
No more curbside pickup for you.
No.
Do you have a list of items you actually want to go and buy?
Everything. Anything, everything,
Chew toys?
Oh, yeah.
Talk about the dogs. I want to talk about the dogs because I love those dogs.
Oh, Russell and Rusty. They're my little minions.
How did they happen? I don't know how they happen. We know how they happen, but how did you obtain them?
So this really great rescue in Rhode Island called Anchor Paws, they take dogs that are in kill shelters or in really bad situations down from south. So my dogs were from Texas, and they bring them up here so that they avoid euthanasia and abuse and everything else. And then we adopt them out. And I was a foster, but I fell in love with my little two dogs, and I could not adopt them out. So I ended up adopting them myself.
Have you always been an animal lover?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to be a zoologist growing up.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was a musician for me. I was going to be a zoologist.
Wow. At what point did music kind of change your direction?
High school.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, when I played my first show and the audience was singing back to me, that's when I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
What was that song?
It was A Day to Remember If It Means a Lot to You. And there's a part that just goes la, 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 la. And that's it, literally laws. And the whole audience did it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
If I would ask you your favorite onstage moment.
Favorite onstage moment. Okay. I would say I really enjoyed performing at the Newport Blues Cafe. That was the first show that I played with backing tracks. I'd never done that before. But I did a part of the album, because not the whole album was released at the time, with the backing tracks. And I had an electric guitar with me that I do random licks on, but I've never like had both hands available to work with while performing. So that's probably one of my favorite shows.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want to eventually go back and start writing your own music with instrumentation, or do you want to continue with the tracks?
I mean, I know how to play all my songs. I play them acoustically. I did that here. But I like the tracks. I like being able to hear how the song's gonna, it just amps you up. Like, oh, that's gonna be such a cool drop there. Whereas you can't really hear that when you're just with your guitar. I'd say if I were to go back to writing folk music, guitar would be easy peasy. But pop music, I mean, that's fun.
Are any of the songs that you're writing now in that genre?
Oh, yeah. So I just wrote a song called Vampire with Hannah, and that has very much so like wake up call vibes. I think you're going to really love it.
Cool. I cannot wait. Lainey Dionne is our guest tonight on the tiny stage, and we're talking about the self-titled album. We are up against our break in the 9 o'clock hour. We have a lot more to chat about and a few more songs to share as well as we do the radio album release show here on 95.9 WATD. Stick around.
Almost Famous with John Shea on 95.9 WATD.
Welcome back to Almost Famous 95.9 WATD, introducing you to independent bands and musicians from across New England, brought to you by Tiny and Sons Glass. My name is John Shea. By the way, if you're a local musician with original music you'd like to hear on the radio, do exactly what Lainey did. Find all the information on the Almost Famous page at 959watd.com. You can follow us tonight on Facebook and Instagram at Almost Famous Radio. Subscribe to our podcast too at almostfamousradio.com or by searching Almost Famous WATD on your favorite podcast app. Lainey, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Introduce yourself again for those who have missed the first part of the night.
Hey guys, my name is Lainey Dionne. I am an indie pop singer-songwriter from Rhode Island.
And you've got an album that just dropped.
Yes, self-titled, just dropped, 12 songs.
Where is it available?
Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, literally everywhere.
And hammer away those social media links too again, if you would.
So everything can be found on LaineyDionne.com, Facebook and Instagram at Lainey's Music, and everything else at Lainey Dionne.
Awesome. That is great. And you've got some upcoming shows to share with us too.
Yes. So on Friday, I'm going to be playing at Country Kitchen in Smithfield, Rhode Island.
What can we expect to hear that night?
I'll play some originals, but a lot of covers as well.
Do you have like a favorite era of cover songs to do?
90s all the way.
Why?
My sister is a lot older than me, so I grew up listening to everything she listened to, so I really like 90s music.
What's a song you wish you had written from the 90s?
From the 90s? Kiss Me, Sixpence None the Richer.
Okay.
I think I'd make a lot of money by now.
I was at a friend's youth group long after that song was a hit, and I didn't realize that Sixpence None the Richer is a Christian group.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
So they have all these, Jesus songs.
Oh, okay.
To be specific. And then that song. It's like, okay, so that's like the one song on the album that's like the black sheep of all their
Interesting.
songs.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah,
I get it now.
Interesting.
That is cool. So, self-titled is the album. We've been listening to songs from the album all night long. Do you have a favorite song on the album that you can talk about?
I mean, it changes all the time. I really do like Wake Up Call right now and Damned. But it's sentimental. When we get to that, you'll hear it. You'll hear why that's a fave.
You sent me that song when it first came out, and I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. They don't know what they're in for yet. We got one more until then.
Exactly. We've got the tease coming. We talked earlier about how you are a dog lover.
Yes.
You've got 2 dogs at home, Russell and Rusty.
Yes.
And dog is part of the next song coming up.
Yes. So the next song is called Sleeping Dogs Lie. And just like that saying goes, I mean, you gotta let things go. You gotta let things be. Don't text the guy, all right? So let's listen to Sleeping Dogs Lie.
Did you follow your own advice on that?
Oh, wouldn't I love to know? Sometimes.
Let's hear it. Lainey Dionne, 95.9 WATD.
I thought I saw a ghost, but it was only you just bringing up the past again. You're so loud. over shoulders, can we just make amends? No fallout, just be friends now. And I know that you only showed up here just to pick a fight, but you know that won't ever happen tonight. It's so typical. We just wanna have a good time. It's not difficult. Kick it back and just live your life. Oh yeah, here we go. Relatives giving good vibes. You know, moving on isn't a crime. It'll be fine. Just let sleeping dogs lie, 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 lie. Just let sleeping dogs lie, 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 lie. Don't wanna be stressing. Take a deep breath, keep calm and carry on. No more grudges. Don't start something. Listen to the music, isn't it the classic? Let's just sing along. 'Cause this is our song, this is our song. It's so typical. We just wanna have a good time. It's not difficult. Kick it back and just live your life. Oh yeah, here we go. Relatives giving good vibes. You know, moving on isn't a crime. It'll be fine. Just let sleeping dogs lie, 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 lie. Just let sleeping dogs lie, 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 lie. Let go, let it ride out, die out. 'Cause it's our lives now. Let go, say goodbye now, bye now. No drama allowed. Let go, let it ride out, die out. 'Cause it's our lives now. Let go, say goodbye now, bye now. No drama allowed. No drama allowed. It's so typical. We just wanna have a good time. It's not difficult. Kick it back and just live your life. Oh yeah, here we go. Relatives giving good vibes. You know, moving on isn't a crime. It'll be fine. Just let sleeping dogs lie, 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 lie. Just let sleeping dogs lie, 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 lie. Just let sleeping dogs lie.
Sleeping Dogs Lie, Lainey, Dionne, joining us in studio tonight, 95.9 WATD. You mentioned while that song was playing that you wrote the entire bridge of that song on your own. Talk about how that whole song happened.
Yeah, so that song was written with Jess Cates. He's an amazing songwriter. We had like a Coldplay vibe in the studio, but it ended up being super poppy. I mean, this song, when I picture it, I picture chilling at like a beach party or like by a swimming pool party, and like your ex walks in and you're like, you're not going to give me a bad time. We're just going to chill. All right. So I just really like this song. It's very kickback and don't let anybody bring your vibe down.
Let's talk about the writing process of this song, because like I said, you mentioned that you wrote the bridge of this song on your own. Take us through how this one happened in the room when everybody was throwing around ideas.
Yeah, so everybody was throwing around multiple ideas of what the song was going to go. And I just remember humming to myself the let go, let it ride out, die out. I was like, I like that. Na, 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 na. I really like that. And so then I just kind of wrote it in my head and then sang it out loud to the guys. And the guys were like, yeah, we got that. And originally, the lies were supposed to be a lot of lies. That's how I, instead of like, just let sleeping dogs lie, 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 is what I had originally. But the guys were like, we're going to take that down by a lot of lies. All right. That's too much.
When you were making the album, or when you're just writing in general, do you ever find yourself inspiring yourself?
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever like introspectively looked at it like that. I know that sometimes when I've written songs afterwards, I just like cry it out. I'm like, oh, yeah, you just did that. But I don't think I've ever like been inspired by myself. A lot of other people inspire me.
Not necessarily a favorite song, but is there a song on the album that you're most proud of?
Vocally sentimental. We keep going back to this, which is funny because it's up next. But I think I'm most proud of Sentimental because I've never let myself go in the studio like that. So this song is obviously a very sad song. It's sentimental. And I cried in the studio while recording it. I think you can hear in the track, if you like really listen, you could hear like me cry on a couple notes. And then once Nick bounced it all down and sent it to me, I cried when I heard it for the first time too. So I think that song's probably the most extension of my being in that moment.
The way this song is also presented on the album itself is unique.
Yeah, so it's presented as senta, and then mental is in the parentheses because, you know, you're becoming mental. You're going insane from being sentimental.
Did you have that before the song was written? Or
yeah,
you...
Hannah came up with that.
Oh, okay,
and,
cool.
And we were like, oh, this is such a cool song. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Lainey, Dionne, let's hear it. The tiny stage is yours with the album 95.9 WATD.
Water lilies in June, morning dew on our shoes, ballpark games and secret escapes. Like Sandy and Danny, summer had no ending, never thinking past our today. We would run, run, run. It was young, young love, shining like the sun at midday. I tried to hold on to our young, young love, but couldn't stop the season change. Would you call me mental for being sentimental? Walking past a place just to see your feelings fade, or if they stay the same. Would you call me insane for taking pleasure in my pain? Oh, reliving the good days, getting lost in memories before you took the blame. Does it make me mental being sentimental? Does it make me mental being sentimental? Fall leaves brought heartache, our dreams had concaved. Use your letters to light bonfires, but come warm weather, I always end up here. Time capsule inside of my mind, how we would run, run, run. It was young, young love, shining like the sun at midday. Now I look at your face through your online page, wondering if you do the same. Would you call me mental for being sentimental? Walking past a place just to see your feelings fade, or if they stay the same. Would you call me insane for taking pleasure in my pain? Oh, reliving the good days, getting lost in memories before you took the blame. I gotta let you go now. I'm with someone new now, but you live in my head still, wishing you were him. Still it doesn't change a thing how we grew our separate ways before you took the blame. I guess it makes me mental I can't be sentimental. I guess it makes me mental.
Sentimental Lainey Dionne joining us in studio tonight here on WATD. It's the almost famous Tiny Stage. Tonight we're doing the entire hour dedicated to Lainey's new album, which is called
Self-titled.
And how you doing in there? That was
I don't know. I'm crying. You crying?
It's an intense song.
Yeah, that song. I mean, like I said, I've never cried in the studio. I cried while singing this song. This is the most emotional I've ever sang, and I'm really proud of it.
So walk us through how the vibe was in the room when that song was written.
Yeah, so surprisingly, this song was written about my most recent breakup, but before we broke up. So it was kind of like...
Premeditative?
Yeah, it was kind of like a premonition of like, okay, this is how I think I'm going to feel. And then we broke up the week that I recorded it. So the feelings were there. They were strong. Everything was happening at once. It was just kind of a flood of emotions that just kind of came out in the studio. And luckily they were captured in the song. And I think people can really relate to it and hear it.
Is there a song on the album that you would most like to make a video for?
I think Wake Up Call would be fun because I'd just be smashing everything. Like one of those like smash like rooms where you go and you just take a bat to everything. You know, I feel like that would be really fun.
Get some aggression out.
Oh yeah, Sentimental. There's so much imagery in that song that I feel like it could also be a really touching video.
To me, that sounds like more of like a perfect lyric video.
Really, I could see that. A lot of them have. I love Hey London's lyric video. If you guys want to check it out, it's on YouTube. And more lyric videos will be to follow. But yeah.
Let's talk about not just national influences, but local influences. You just got a phone call from the guy who is going to be here next week.
Yeah, so I love all my little music friends. Tom Hansen will be on next week. We're longtime pals. But yeah, I mean, I love the local music scene in New England in general. They're all very supportive of one another, and it's really fun.
How would you compare, having gone to Berkeley and also spending a lot of time in Providence, how would you compare the Providence scene to the Boston scene?
Oh, I'd move back to Boston in a minute. I just love Boston. I mean, being in the city, it's a true city, you know, whereas Providence is a very small city. Providence has a lot going on creatively, too. There's a lot of artists there with RISD being there. So it's just kind of like a creative realm, whereas being in Boston and being in Back Bay, you see musicians on every single corner. It's very music oriented. So I feel very at home in Boston.
What do you think the best lesson you learned attending Berkeley, not necessarily from the school, but from fellow musicians?
So I was very afraid of Berkeley. I was afraid to put myself out there. I mean, there were so many good musicians around. And I kind of learned, I mean, this might sound conceited or bad, but like, you're just as good as everybody else around you. I mean, if you're in that environment, you can't keep beating yourself up. So I wish I took a little bit more opportunities and a little bit more risks performing there. But my friends did amazing. I mean, they did so many shows.
On a similar subject, if you could go back in time and tell yourself something that you know now but didn't know then, what would it be?
The music industry is a game of chess. I did not know that back then. I thought, okay, I'm just going to, do whatever. But you got to think about what your next move is, what their next move is, how all of the different possibilities of things can go. And you got to be prepared for anything and everything at every waking moment.
Has that worked for you?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad I learned that lesson.
Give us an example.
Just being prepared for, let's say, if you're performing at a small show, like you don't know who's going to be in the audience. You don't know, have business cards ready, have merch ready, have whatever ready, just in case if there's going to be an executive there or a talent scout there or whatever, be prepared. If there's two people in the audience, play like there's an arena there because you don't know who those two people are.
I have a friend who says that your CD is just a very expensive business card.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Excellent. So the album is available where?
So the album's available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, every other streaming service that's out there.
Also, let's talk about the album art. How did that happen? Because that's a very cool concept.
Yeah. So there's a cool artist on Fiverr that was able to do the scrapbooking for me. I feel like the picture, I mean, I kind of look bored or kind of fed up in the picture because I was kind of fed up with all the crap that I was taking from all my relationships. But the scrapbooking effect is kind of like, I felt like I was being torn apart with all these relationships. They took a little pieces of me, but then I was able to put it all back together in this nice little collage that we have on our front cover.
And it also makes even more sense once you hear the album. You can just see, like, just maybe it's just me, but like you can envision like little bits of each song in the background.
Yeah. And on the front, there's a water lily, which I mentioned in Sentimental. On the back, there's an airplane for Last Flight in Hey London. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things in the album artwork, too, that are little Easter eggs that you could see.
Fantastic. We have time for one more song, and then we'll talk a little bit about that. But what are we listening to close out the album?
Yo, this song's bopping. This song is I Love You to Death, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it.
Let's hear it. Lainey, Dionne, WATD, the tiny stage is yours.
Your touch pulls me underwater, and I don't mind it going down, down, and I don't mind it if I drown, drown. Your body kills me. Maybe I'm overdosing. Don't wanna think about it right now. I'm sinking deep into your eyes now. Holding you close till I lose you. If it's the last thing I do, I just want you to know that it's true, it's true. I love you to death. I love you to death. I love you to death. You're pushing me over the edge. You're taking the breath right out of my chest. And I didn't know I wasn't bulletproof, but I can't help it. I love you to death. I love you even if you're the death of me. You make the sky blush red like fire. I burn a fever when you touch my lips. I only want you 'cause you're dangerous. Wrap me in your arms, constrict me, suffocate me. I've been turning to the color blue, but you're always such a perfect hue. I love you to death. I love you to death. I love you to death. You're pushing me over the edge. You're taking the breath right out of my chest. And I didn't know I wasn't bulletproof, but I can't help it. I love you to death. I love you even if you're the death of me. Till death do us part. Till death do us part. I love you to death. I love you to death. You're pushing me over the edge. You're taking the breath right out of my chest. And I didn't know I wasn't bulletproof, but I can't help it. I love you to death. I love you even if you're the death of me. Till death do us part. I love you to death, and I wasn't bulletproof. I can't let it go. Till death do us part. If I wasn't bulletproof, I can't let it go. I love you to death.
Lainey Dionne, that's I Love You to Death, the closing track to her brand new album, which is called
Self-titled.
You got it. And that track, talk about it.
So, I Love You to Death is about having your blinders on and not realizing that the person you're absolutely in love with is just dead up killing you. Like, they are not good for you. They are toxic. They are bad. But you're loving them through it, and you probably shouldn't.
You mentioned whisper tracks. What are those?
Yeah, so Skin and I Love You to Death, I had to whisper throughout the whole song. So after we recorded the whole song, we had like a track in the background. If you listen super, super close, you might be able to hear it. But I obviously at the end of the song, you hear I love you to death. But I had to do that the whole entire time.
Did it drive you insane?
No, it was really weird doing it for Skin because it was just weird to say those words whispered the whole time. But it was cool. Nick's got great production skills.
I can tell. The album sounds incredible. So let's wrap things up with the information on where the album is available.
Yes, so the album, you can find all of its links on LaineyDionne.com, but it's available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Deezer, every single streaming service that's out there.
That is amazing. And your website, social media, all that good stuff. Let's get some likes for you.
Yes, everything can be found on LaineyDionne.com, but if you want to go to Facebook or Instagram specifically, that's at Lainey's Music. Everything else is at Lainey Dionne.
And a chance to see you live.
Yes, you can see me live this Friday at Country Kitchen in Smithfield.
That is fantastic. Before we wrap things up, any final words to share with the listeners tonight?
Yeah, guys, I hope you really enjoyed the album. I am so excited to show it to you guys. You know, keep loving yourselves, keep putting your heart out there, and I hope this album means something to you too.
Cool. And I understand too, you're going to be hanging out tonight and maybe doing some stuff during the 10 o'clock hour?
Oh, yeah. Can't wait, John.
Let's see what happens. Lainey Dionne in studio tonight. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you next time.